It is absolutely wild that gamers are always the ones to blame when projects end up being canceled, and that is exactly what is happening right now with Ubisoft because they reportedly canceled a Civil War era Assassin's Creed game amidst Yasuke backlash and political fear. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I think when a franchise has been going for so long, it eventually gets to a point where every single iteration is criticized because it doesn't capture the magic of what once made the franchise so popular in the first place. And I think that we've reached that area with Assassin's Creed because, in some people's opinions, they're modernizing it too much, and in other people's opinions, they're not modernizing it enough. And now we're hearing that Ubisoft has reportedly canceled an Assassin's Creed game set during the post-American Civil War Reconstruction era. According to a report from GameFile, the project was scrapped in 2024 after the company faced backlash over the Black Samurai Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows and grew nervous about the political climate in the United States. The decision shows that Ubisoft has learned the wrong lesson instead of realizing players are tired of identity-driven storytelling and virtue signaling. Leadership apparently concluded that audiences simply can't handle complex topics. The result is a company running from its own self-inflicted wounds. And this is such a funny situation, right? Because it's true. Over the years, Ubisoft has taken the wrong message out of every single situation, and they haven't learned from their mistakes. And at this point, there's no way that they ever possibly could. This is probably why they handed off their biggest series to the new studio that they made with Tencent, and it's why it's out of their control at this point. So sources told GameFile that Assassin's Creed Civil War's concept would have followed a formerly enslaved man who joined the Assassin Brotherhood after gaining his freedom, traveling west before returning to the post-war South to fight for justice in a conflict that would, among other things, see him confront the emergence of the KKK. Now, in my opinion, we don't have a lot of information here, right? So take everything with a grain of salt. This literally could just be a false report because we've known for years now that the next Assassin's Creed game is set during the Salem witch trials and it is going to feature a lead female. So I don't know if this was really ever their plan. This doesn't even sound that bad, like picking a Assassin's Creed like Civil War time period and happening to have a man who was a former slave. That could be interesting. That could be a really complex topic. But instead, now they're just using it against gamers saying, oh, it had to be canceled because of those toxic bigots, when they're not understanding why AC Shadows faced backlash in the first place. 5 current and former employees said the project had early approval before executives killed it. One insider summarized the reason for being too political in a country too unstable, but that explanation might sound like caution, but it misses the point entirely. Ubisoft didn't pull the plug because of political instability. It pulled it because the project was political from the start. No one was asking for a lecture about race wrapped in Assassin's Creed brand. Players have been asking for historical escapism, not another attempt at rewriting history through modern ideological filters, and Ubisoft's panic over the Civil War project stems directly from their reaction to Assassin's Creed Shadows. When the company revealed Yasuke as one of its playable leads, fans immediately noticed how far the franchise had strayed from its traditions, and it is so sad because we had been asking for an Assassin's Creed set in Japan for years upon years, and this could have been really cool, but the stories they decided to tell were just a little bit too bizarre, and they didn't fit into what the franchise was all about in the first place. And it did seem like, yes, they wanted to pick these characters because of modern ideological trends, not because they thought that it was the best way to tell a story or it was going to be entertaining for people. I don't play video games to be lectured about real world politics. I play games as a form of escapism, just like everybody else. Now, of course, Ubisoft has been going through some absolutely major problems over the past couple of years. Look at all of their games that have failed. Over just the past two, you have Skull and Bones, which was a quadruple A failure. X Defiant is already dead, and that was supposed to be the Call of Duty killer. Star Wars Outlaws ended up underperforming, and they had put the most money they ever had towards the marketing budget of that title. And then you had Assassin's Creed Shadows, which they only ever gave us player figures, not actually sales figures. So I think that they were definitely lower than they anticipated. But regardless, we're talking about multiple failures, and with them greenlighting a Salem Witch Trials Assassin's Creed. Don't get me wrong, that concept sounds slightly cool. But according to those reports, the lead character is going to be a lesbian, so you're going to add that angle, which is just too much for a lot of people, I think. And then apparently they canceled this game, but I just still don't necessarily know if I fully believe it. Right now, Ubisoft is really trying to save their image, and so instead of blaming themselves for their mistakes and failures, of course, they're going to want to blame the evil toxic gamers as they have for years now. So historically, Assassin's Creed protagonists were original characters who interacted with real historical figures. Shadows broke that pattern by placing players directly in the shoes of a historical figure, and I think that this was always going to be a problem, no matter who they chose, because of historical inaccuracy, especially when you get into complex topics like relationships. It also says, though, his story had been stretched to fit modern talking points. Ubisoft marketed the move as authentic representation, but fans saw it for what it was: corporate virtue signaling designed to score headlines rather than tell a compelling story. And it's so sad that Ubisoft has fallen so much. We've seen this happen with so many studios over the years who were once extremely popular, and I don't see a way that they could even be saved at this point. Now, for me personally, my major question would be if they would portray the KKK accurately, because the KKK was founded as a military arm for the Democratic Party, but I digress. A lot of other people on social media are not happy about this situation. Discussing Films had posted a thread on it, which has got 20 million views. This has thousands upon thousands of comments. There are tons of people saying, but I was told Assassin's Creed Shadows broke records. Wouldn't they want to replicate that magic? If we hadn't been bombarded with preachy virtue signaling games for the last 10 years, this wouldn't have been an issue. But we all know this story would have been told like a left-wing sociology professor's wet dream. A black man in feudal Japan, make it happen. This is why whenever big companies tell you how valuable their diversity and core beliefs are, you shouldn't trust them. As soon as money's on the line, they'll abandon everything they believe in to appease the people who don't even buy their product. This would have been an amazing concept for an Assassin's Creed game. Massive shame we'll never see it because of a few crybabies. I wish they went through with this game. So basically everybody is mad or pointing and laughing at them at this point. Video game politics should not have been a thing, yet here we are. And the fault lies entirely with the studios who needed to make people pay for educational experiences. Few people want to buy pop art with someone's current political message in it. And nobody even complained about this DLC, which was Freedom Cry. Yeah, but, modern day Assassin's Creed is very different from the good days of Assassin's Creed. So I'm curious to see if Ubisoft will make a statement on this, if we will get any other information or confirmation, or if GameFile was literally just putting out a report to try to get some headlines out there and push the narrative more that gamers are so mean and toxic and art is dying because people are actually not buying games anymore with modern day political messaging in them. But right now we're hearing that Ubisoft canceled an Assassin's Creed game set in the post-Civil War era, and it was to feature a black assassin who was formerly a slave, and players would fight the emerging KKK, though leadership canceled it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.